Hi, the integer here. You can call me integer. Everyone else does. I wasn't trying to exit, by the way, game. What happened? Game? Oh boy, this game is a tough one to review. Uh-oh, this is where it crashed last time. We have a crashing problem. Do you judge it purely on what it's trying to do? Yeah. What it does do, or what it could have done. One of the most precarious games as far as can you finish it or not with the way it runs. And it's crashed again. I think it corrupted the save. I guess we'll just have to take a few of all of those things into account. Playing as Special Agent Francis York Morgan, it's your job to investigate the brutal murder of a young local beauty in the town of Greenvale. Amidst the backdrop of soaring mountains, a small American suburb, you must solve the mystery of the Red Seed murders and stay alive in a place where supernatural creatures and a mysterious raincoat-clad axe-wielding killer seek to end his investigation for good. Deadly Premonition was originally released on February 23rd, 2010, the director's cut coming out a few years later in 2013 for Windows and PlayStation 3. Web access games under the division of Hidetaka Soaring and published in Europe by Rising Star Games. It's also available on Xbox 360 and Nintendo Switch. We experienced the game on the PC via Steam, and by Lord Jesus, I wish we didn't. Definitely best probably experience on a console like PlayStation 3 or Switch, as the start hopefully demonstrated. Currently retails at £20 at the time of writing this copy. I think we played this game at 4K maxed, but failed with settings due to the vast amount of stability issues. We used necessary mod fixes, DP fix I believe, according to PCGamingWiki.com, which is the bible for this kind of thing. And that was allegedly for stability and widescreen compatibility, which it did do. And included the default inclusion of sweet effects, which for whatever reason always seems to be the bane of my PC gaming existence. We used a hack for our official Xbox controller via Steam controller settings to make controller input in Deadly Premonition Director's Cut more civilized. I mean, those default input controls, oh boy. We clocked in about 50 hours of combined live and recorded broadcasts, which you can find and place in the description, and maybe even in the top right corner where the cards live, if I'm sharp with this one. We unlocked 37 of 60 achievements, completing about just under maybe half of the sideys collectibles. More on those later. And in short, it was a pain in the pinata lower thirds to even attempt completing just those, sadly. So remember, 5 is average, 0 is a gaming communicable disease, and 10 is an 11 out of 10 would review again. The whole review is 99.8% spoiler free, so have at it. As ever, apparently is recommended by aspects, I implore you, should you care to do so, from finding value in this content, to subscribe, followed by a clickage of a bell thing, and a subsequent like. So do that if that's you, and definitely let me know what version and platform of this game you've played, assuming you've played it already. Let us know your experience with it, and your thoughts on the review if you will. Arigato gozaimasu. Let's go. So good things include the following. Unique overall feel and setting of the game. It's practically Twin Peaks the video game, really. We have an interesting protagonists in both actions, dialogue and backstory. The dialogue is funny and well crafted, quirky characters help with that. There's an intriguing story and whodunit plot, at the start and the middle at least. There's some interesting detective mechanics in terms of checking you were paying attention while playing the game, something that many streamer types probably struggle with. And just kind of utilizing investigation skills, multi-view camera view encounters, and other mechanics when they work. Interactions are mostly fun, and some of the side quests offer some nice variety and really nice handy rewards. that help with a couple of the problems that I'm gonna outlay next. Oh wow, there's a lot of bad stuff looking at this list after the fact. Okay, so either the game itself or the mod patch fixes made to the game has made the game look pretty uneven and heck even ugly in places. Probably the sweet effects, overall with lighting and shading issues among many other things. I'm not quite sure what it is. It might be just that the game's kind of ugly in places, or it might have been the sweet effects or the mod stuff, I'm not sure, but boy. The game is practically unplayable on modern Windows without fiddling with it, by the way. So you pretty much need that DP fix as far as I know, and the like. So yeah, best played on a console, I'd say. Fast travel needs to be much more obvious and less missable with this game, considering the map size and the speed of travel, especially during the early game, coupled with the fact that it's not really clear when it's okay to ditch your cohorts and explore and go side questing on your own. It's really not clear until much later in when it's just too late. The food survival mechanics count against encouraging exploration and side questing due to its tedious nature, waiting for certain times or events or conditions to clear so that quests can be taken on, especially without necessary aids that are again missable, that help with that whole feature set. But it's impressive that NPCs have routines and times they do things, when they congregate or when they're hanging out with other NPCs and so forth. It also results in making side quests hard to do, as you can't find a person or you can't find them in the right place at the right time under the right conditions. Quite frustrating. Driving mechanics and collision is pretty awful, and that's pretty much all I wrote there. So, that pretty much says it all. It's pretty atrocious. Combat is syrupy. Good luck with that aim. Enemy variety and AI is seriously lacking. Just passable to meh. It's greatly helped with some of the side quest rewards, so I recommend doing some of those, but you probably will get a headache or get very, very angry if you don't get some pre-information beforehand. But those will help with the combat and make it more fluid as you dominate with certain things. I won't give any spoilers. All I'll say is that some quest rewards are really handy. Some story and character motive reveals could have been done better, been a little less anime bad guy, so to speak, towards the end. The economy is pretty silly in this. It's not a big deal, but $40 for a bup of Buffy, anyone? Yeah, and you can't sell stuff. Pretty goofy. Some mechanics are reused a little too much, namely everyone's number one love, quick time events, and the hide and seek, rinse and repeat segments as well. You'll see what I mean when you get there if you haven't experienced it yet. Ranged weapons feel mostly meh, and paled into insignificance when compared to the mighty power of melee. Melee weapons are very powerful in this. It's the Christ standard. It's very, very... yeah, melee weapons is the way to go. The game also includes remnants of dead mechanics from previous design. So I found this after the fact, after writing this copy out, that apparently this game was originally meant to be a stealth-only game. I think it was meant to be called, I was going to say Risky Woods, but I think it was meant to be called something like Rain in Woods or something like that. And it was meant to be a stealth-only game. So you can find bins littered around the environment in the game that you can still hide in for absolutely no purpose whatsoever. And I think there's a part in the playthrough where I said, I've got these bins that you can hide in. And that's why. And that might explain why projectile combat is so rough, or combat in general is so rough, but that might explain why it was never really intended. Now the uglies. Crashes, and yes mom, more crashes. This is probably the most crash-prone game I've ever played. It's more crash-prone than I'm prone. Corrupt loading with a potential for corrupt saves is also a thing. We experienced the former multiple times. It's literally there for you to watch, go at it, have fun, enjoy my suffering. Side quests are overall too tedious to do and will almost definitely require replaying chapters, which does not allow saving until you complete said chapter again. And unless you actually complete the chapter, it doesn't count. So yeah, that's great. Also, this can result in a bugged save. You're often required to find characters under certain times and conditions to do, as I said previously. Combine that with stability issues and you have a real hot mess recipe for fun. Again, I have proof. Mechanics make it tedious to do the majority of side quests, especially combined with cryptic and missable nature of the fast travel system within the game, and that's one of the biggest problems, because that fast travel is so missable, and that fast travel, it doesn't make it a cinch, but it would make it so much easier to do a lot of the side quests, and it's a shame because some of these side quests are very cool and they offer some really cool things, even in the mechanics, and it's just so frustrating how cryptic it is and how missable it is. Anyway. So what on earth do you score such a game? Ideas are better and bigger than the execution. Frustrating to play but very intriguing. Man. I feel like it's slightly above average. So I'm going to give it a slightly above average 5.5 out of 10, man. If it were based on having a completely mostly crash-free experience, with less tedious mechanics when it comes to side questing, in addition to obtaining the vital fast travel option, this would have easily been an 8. Despite all its problems, but tedium and frustration marred with my PC experience of this otherwise Twin Peaks-esque classic. Curious jank worth experiencing if you have a console or immense motivation or patience, maybe even both. So that's the Interject Deadly Premonition Director's Jank review. Let me know your thoughts. Now in a moment after you've subscribed to the channel, ringed your bell and liked this video, and it may have happened already, there'll likely be 2 Deadly Premonition review or gameplay related video suggestions that have popped up on your screen, which is a blessing in disguise, because what you want to do when that happens is, well, choose one. Matato, didn't it?